What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Diz Twitter podcast. And I'm very excited today to hang out with somebody who's at Magic Kingdom right now, so I'm a little bit jealous. So she goes by the name of Coaster K24 or RockNstardust, if you've seen her pop up on your Twitter timeline at any point. So first of all, how are you? How's Magic Kingdom tonight?
Yeah, it's nice. It's a little overcast right now. Like, it was really hot earlier in the day, but it's really nice now. There was some rain kind of in the area, so it kind of cooled it off, but it didn't really rain much here, just kind of a sprinkle. But it's been a nice park day. It's not too busy. A lot of the rides have 5-minute waits around the area, so it's pretty low key.
And you're ducked in like Storybook Circus, right?
Yeah, they kind of have an area over here kind of by where the train station and the Barnstormer are, kind of this back area. This is usually where like Santa meets during the Christmas party. It's honestly a really nice area to, take a breather, especially right now. There's really relaxing chairs. There's a few rod machine, and it's real chill back here. There's not any music. It's a nice, quiet place, so it's great.
Very nice. I do love that spot. It is nice and chill back there, so that's a good spot to be. So before we get underway, this is the 4th episode, and right off the bat, we got to talk about your Twitter handle. So obviously,
Okay.
Rock and Stardust. I think we can kind of figure that out. So you've got Rock and Roller Coaster and Stardust Racers, which I'm assuming, well, I don't know about now with Rockin', but it was one of your favorite coasters, and obviously you love Stardust Racer, so I'm assuming it was a combination of the two.
Yeah, basically. Just, trying to show my love for the two rides that, I kind of post the most about. I mean, obviously, I would post more about Stardust Racers if there was annual passes to Epic Universe, but Rock and Roller Coaster is still my favorite ride here at Disney, so...
Okay. Even though it's Muppets now.
Even though it's Muppets, my number 2 is Space Mountain, and I really love Space Mountain, but it's not even close to how much I love Rock and Roller Coaster, even with the changes. So
that is a fun one. And then what is it? Let me make sure I get this right. Coaster K24. What's that? Again, coaster themed.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember kind of when you started following me, and a lot of people did. I was under K Dodgers, and that's usually that's usually kind of my default like username. And when I made my account, obviously you can see I joined in 2020. I was on this Twitter, like just reading through posts. I wasn't, big on posting or commenting on anything.
Right.
And so I just kind of over time, I was starting to, send videos, and, my good friend Grant Seeker, I was sending him videos of Dinosaur, and he was starting to post them saying, look at the animatronic updates, and was tagging me in the post. And I let him know, I wasn't, I didn't know what I wanted, if I wanted to post them or not. And then, just kind of over time, I realized that people actually kind of cared about things I cared about, like, park updates and things,
Sure.
I didn't understand that people, really cared about, when things change on rides or just ride updates or just park general updates. So kind of, that's kind of when I started posting and getting a lot of following. And I think, that was kind of when a lot of following started. And so that was when I did. Oh, hi, Goofy. You want to say hi?
Goofy. Oh, this would be awesome.
We're on the air. You're live.
Goofy, look at this. Is the best night ever. Are you kidding me? This is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That was so cool. You're the first person.
God, what should his next stunt be? Can you do like trapeze or?
Trapeze, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when the circus opens in a couple days.
I like this idea. Okay.
Yeah, gotta practice. Yeah, thanks for saying hi, Goofy.
That was awesome. We could stop it right here, and this would be the best show so far. That's incredible. You never know who you're going to run into at Magic Kingdom. That is so rad.
So just like, so kind of, once I realized, the sports teams aren't really something I was posting about. So I was like, okay, roller coasters is kind of, my passion and everything. So that's why I kind of rebranded, my account. So that's kind of where we're at. But, I'm really glad that he did. I've met, a lot of really amazing people here on this platform. And, everybody's so kind. And a lot of people that I've met in person have been wonderful. And I've met a lot of really, really great friends and, everything on here. So it's been really great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I've been following you for I don't know how long now, but it's been a hot minute. And your account has just kind of blown up in the past however many months now. So it's really cool to see like our little community and all these smaller accounts starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you've definitely found your niche, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's talk about, you're not a Florida native, are you?
No, so I'm from California, and I moved here about a little over a year and a half ago. I moved here October
Oh.
2024, the week of Hurricane Milton was the week I moved here.
Oh, geez. So that was a good time to move.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I was born and raised in California, so I grew up going to Disneyland. So I had passes my whole
Okay.
life going to Disneyland.
Nice.
I'm from the Sacramento area, so it's about a 7-hour drive down there. So we would go a
Wow.
couple times a year. And just as soon as I finished high school, I really wanted to, live as close to Disneyland as I possibly could. So I went to Cal
That's
State
awesome.
Fullerton, right down the street, and went to the parks every day. And, 12 years of going to Disneyland every day until I moved here. So,
Hold on. You went every day?
well, I mean, like I do now, multiple times a
Okay.
week,
Okay.
like five, I mean, I just finished 23 straight days in a row. I did not go yesterday, but yeah, even in this hot weather, I will still go.
Wow, that's incredible. I had just assumed that you had been in Florida a lot longer. I didn't think you were a local because I've seen you talk about California a whole bunch. But I just
Yeah.
assumed you had been there for years at this point, but it's only been about a year and a half. That's awesome.
Yeah, and my first trip here was 2018, so I unfortunately didn't get to see, a lot of the great rides, like Great Movie Ride and Universe of Energy,
Wow.
and I was fortunate to get to see, the Future World, like, the Innoventions, like that part. My first trip,
Yeah.
Electric Umbrella, and some of the things, but yeah, my first trip wasn't until 2018, so a lot of the nostalgic
Wow.
stuff I never got to see
Yeah.
here. I mean, I grew up, seeing a lot of things at Disneyland, but.
So was it a little bit of a shock going from something like Disneyland to Disney World, or was it like same but different? Like, what was your first world experience compared to land after all those years?
Yeah, just the sizing of everything, when you're so used to being able to walk everywhere, and I knew just from talking to people how things are spaced out, but you don't
Yeah.
understand that Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom are 8 miles apart until you actually experience it. And I used to live
Yeah.
2 miles away from Disneyland. There's no way I could live 2 miles away from any park here,
Yeah.
let's live right behind Magic Kingdom. So it's just,
Yeah.
the scale is just, it's crazy. And, obviously, park hopping is so easy at Disneyland. So.
No, it's so nice. So where did your love of theme parks come from? I mean, obviously you grew up in California, but not everybody who lives in California or Florida grows up like crazed with theme parks and going to Disney all the time. So like, how old were you when you kind of developed that love? Because you're pretty deep into it at this point, but were you always like that or something you kind of grew into?
No, I would say I was always like that. My first trip was when I was 2 years old. Obviously, I don't remember, but
Yeah.
I would say, my parents have said I was always really into Disney, age, 5 to 7. I was always the one wanting to meet the characters and watch the
Right.
parades and, everything. I have all the princess dresses and just, I was always into it. And it was, a big part of my life growing up and
Yeah.
everything. And, it's something that I've always loved. And especially during COVID, when we lost the ability to go to the parks, really, made me
Bummer,
realize
yeah.
how much, I loved going. And there has been times where, I've gotten burned out of the parks. Just, I would go, just kind of like, once every other week or one, kind of
Sure.
just more laid back. And that really taught me, like, I really miss this and I don't want this. I don't want to lose this. So, after
Yeah.
that, it really, really made me want to go all the time.
That's awesome. So you mentioned just a few minutes ago, you had just gone to how many straight days? Like 23 straight days, I think you said, or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
So what's been your longest stretch?
I think it was 28 days. I want to say it was either 20 or 28. Like, I know I did
Wow.
one earlier in May. But even the one day that I took off, I did go to Disney Springs. So I wasn't like on Disney property, but I didn't enter the theme park. But I don't go all day. I'll tend to go for like 4 to 5 hours. And
Sure.
always on my off day, I will always go, the entirety of my day. I don't ever sit at home for 12 hours and do nothing. So.
Man, and you can have that stamina in this heat to go and be
Yeah.
at a park all day. Wow, that
It's
is
just,
nuts.
I mean, when I go to Epic Universe, that's, a solid 10 miles. And every time I do Stardust, it's 5 flights of stairs. So, I mean, when I ride it 15
That's a good
times, like I
point.
did the other day, the stairs kill me more than the ride sometimes. So.
Dude, so I've only been to Epic once, and I went in November, so it wasn't hot. Like, it was actually a very nice day. It was actually a little bit chilly in the morning and that evening, which was nice. We weren't sweating our butts off, but boy, I was not ready for the amount of stairs that park has. Like,
Especially
I
Super
did not.
Nintendo.
Oh my God, we were up and down so many stairs going on. Oh my God, what is the one ride that I really don't like? The
Mario Kart.
Kart. Oy vey. So many stairs in that one. Even my kids were like, "What is going on with all the stairs in this park?" I was like, "I don't know, but you're getting a workout in, so at least you have that." And if anything, it is really cool to be so close because, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but you can go as often as you want and not feel like you just got to do it all every single time you
Right.
go. Like for somebody like me, and for somebody, a lot of Diz Twitter who don't live locally, when we go down, it's like you're trying to make the most of your time. So with you can kind of go 4 hours here, 5 hours there, or even all day, but still not feel that pressure to do everything, which can kind of like stress a lot of people out who don't go that much. So that is pretty rad. So what's your longest stretch of not going to a park then? Since we talked about 28-ish days was your longest stretch of going, well, how about not going?
Well, recently, I would say COVID was, a big one because, in California, we were closed for over a year. So there was, I came here a couple of times. So, there was month stretches where I didn't go on rides. But, there was, I would say in the recent year now since I've been here, aside from when I go on vacation and I'm not around the parks, I would say like a 3 or 4 day spell, like where I'm sick and couldn't come. But yeah, I would say that was probably the most, like longest, as far as, obviously growing up, there was a couple months in between, but I would say usually like 3 or 4 days, like maximum. Like
so not very long stretches at all.
No. And they weren't like, because I didn't want to go, is because like I literally physically could not go.
Oh, wow. Okay. And did you ever get like, with going so often, because like Professor Leisure I had on the first episode, and he doesn't go anywhere near as much as you, but when he goes, it's like for a few hours after work. And then I think he said he goes like once a week-ish or something like that. But for you, who goes like quite often and for decent chunks at a time, you don't ever get burnt out, I guess, do you? It doesn't sound like it. Like it seems very fresh for you every time you go.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what's the difference between being here and being in California, because there is the same two parks all the time. And I would tend to do Universal Hollywood about once a month. I wouldn't go to Knott's and Magic Mountain very often, but you're going to the same two parks all the time. But here I have the 4 parks here, the 3 Universal parks. There's just so much variety. There's 7 parks I can go to, and it just makes it so fun. And obviously, at Epcot in 4 hours, I can't see and do everything. So it's nice that, obviously usually I pick, 3 or 4 rides that I really want to do. And then I get to some, and then, I haven't done Guardians in a couple weeks. So when I go there in a couple days, I'm going to try to do Guardians, it just depends, if the line's too long, I'm going to skip it, and I know I can come back.
Okay. And then how often do you go to Universal? Do you kind of split your time?
Yeah. You can see within my posts, I usually try to go at least once a week. Epic usually every other week. I would love to go more, but it's as much as my bank account can afford to go because of how expensive it is paying every time. Yeah. And once there's an AP, I will definitely be there more. But I try to do each park once a week. Obviously, I go to usually Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios maybe twice a week. And obviously, when Rockin' was closed, I did not go to Hollywood Studios very much because my poor heart couldn't handle not being able to go on it. And then obviously, Animal Kingdom is one I don't go to as often just because of the operating hours and the fact that there's not as much to do there. So right now with all the construction, it just depends. I was going to go there tomorrow, but they close at 6. Well, I'm off work at 5:30, so it doesn't. I can't.
Sure. Okay, so obviously in Florida right now we have the 7 parks. I'm not saying Universal has 4. That's so silly to me. No. I see the commercials all the time on TV. 4 parks. It's like, okay, well, one's a water park. Then Disney's got 6. Come on, what are we doing? So out of the 4 actual theme parks between Disney and Universal, I'm sure you've thought about this before. Maybe you posted it. I just haven't seen it. But how would you rank the 4? And you know what? I don't even want to hear like what they are in order of the best ones in your eyes, but maybe your favorite ones. So from top to bottom, what are your favorite parks in order?
You want me to rank the 7 overall parks or just the 4 Disney parks?
Let's do the 7 overall parks. So the 4 Disney and then the 3 at Universal.
So obviously Epic's my favorite. I would be there every day if I possibly could.
Okay.
I would say 2 is Islands of Adventure, but it is a park that I would get burned out of quickly just because of, there's only like 6 or 7 or 8 rides that I would want to do regularly.
Okay.
And then I would say number 3 is probably Hollywood Studios, just because Rockin' Tower, that's generally all I really do over there, and I'll do Mickey Minis, and then I just love Fantasmic.
Okay.
Then I would probably say Magic Kingdom, just because of the, amount of things to do at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
And then Epcot, probably after that. I really love Epcot, and I want to love Epcot more, but it's not what it once was. As you know, you've been on all these rides that I didn't get to do, but...
no, I get it.
And then it's tough to say between DAC and Universal because I would have absolutely ranked DAC ahead of it, but right now without Dino Land, I don't really know. And so it's really tough. I don't spend a lot of time at Universal, but they do have I just basically do E.T. Mummy, Gringotts, and get the heck out and go to
Oh
islands.
my God. So again, like I had never gone to Universal. I started going to the Disney parks in 2008. So, I mean, before you, but I'm not like an old school fan from way back.
Yeah.
I just didn't get to go when I was younger. But I had never gone to Universal until November. Like that was my first ever trip. Kids wanted to do it. They had never done it, obviously, either. And we wanted to see Epic. Like I wanted to see what all the fuss was about, and I was super stoked for it. But Universal Studios, oh my God, that park, I mean, eesh. I mean, there is some really cool stuff. Like, I actually really liked Men in Black. Obviously, the Potter stuff was great. E.T. was great. Mommy was awesome. But the rest of the park, I was like, I don't know, man. Out of the 7 in Orlando, this is like dead last, and I don't even think it's really close.
Yeah, and there's like 5 rides that are just really, really bottom of the barrel between Fast and Furious, the Villain Con, the Minion Mayhem, the Jimmy Fallon, the Simpsons. Like those 5 rides, like I'd never have any desire to do ever again. And then, you know, Transformers is on the border of that, but that ride has some redeeming qualities. But yeah, I mean, when Drift opens, it'll be great. But I really, really, really love Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, and I know I'm in the extreme minority on that attraction, but I used to ride that 10 or so times a day. I absolutely loved that ride, so not having that attraction really, really hurt that park for me. Just as Dinosaur really hurt Animal Kingdom for me, and just as Rocket hurt Studios for me. So those, you know, it's just really tough.
Yeah, and I never got to ride Rip Ride Rocket. So, like, we're in reverse order with this stuff. So I never got to do that. But that Fast and the Furious ride, just from the construction stuff that I've seen in Hollywood, that ride looks nuts. It's like Cosmic Rewind on, like, steroids. Like, I was watching, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this thing or not. Like, people who don't like, I mean, there are people who can do coasters and drop rides, but they can't do, like, the spinny stuff, you know, like the teacups and all that. So when I look at that one, it's like Cosmic Rewind, I can handle that. Like, I could ride it all day. And I went for an AP preview. I think I rode it like 11 times, like back to back to back to back. Totally fine. But this one, though, looks pretty intense, but really freaking cool. Do we know of a timeline? Like, I know Universal is pretty tight-lipped on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, all they've really said is next year. I remember when the ride closed and they were like, it's going to be 2 years. I was like, dang, that's really tough.
Oh, wow.
But, I mean, the Hollywood one's taken forever, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're building it on a hill, and you know the land isn't sustained for the coaster versus Rip Ride was already there, so they already have, you know, the land equipped, and that's also why, you know, if you compare like the Monsters Inc. coaster timeline versus the Drift timeline, you know, that's why it's taken so much longer, is just because the land is more ready for a coaster, and they were already clearing a lot of that too before Rip Ride had closed. They were already starting some of that construction, you know, land clearing and getting it ready to go a little bit. So, but yeah, I think it's sometime next calendar year. Obviously, they haven't announced the date on Hollywood's yet. I'm really hoping it's supposed to be sometime over the summer. I don't imagine, obviously, it's going to be June at this point, but I'm hoping sometime in July. I don't know if they've started doing team member previews or not. But I'm going in September, so I'm really, really hoping it'll be open and be able to ride it. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I watched it being built with my last trip there, you know, before I moved, and it was just all dirt. And, you know, seeing it now is like, wow, like it's just so beautiful to watch, you know, and the aesthetics of the hills and everything is definitely going to be pretty. And I'm glad that they're going to be a little bit slightly different from each other. That way, you know, they're not identical copies. I mean, it is going to be really intense. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to lap it. I mean, we'll see.
It looks pretty intense. So, you know, I'm going to do an audible here because I have a bunch of questions for you, but then I think of stuff. So the ranking question wasn't even on my list, but let's make this even a little more complicated. You don't have to go through the whole list again, but the 3 parks, or I guess, what is it? 3 parks out in California, right? It's just Universal Hollywood, right? Like there is no second park there. So between Disneyland, DCA, and then Universal Hollywood, where would you kind of rank them in that list? So that would be 10 total. Like, would they be more towards the bottom? Would Disneyland rise up?
Yeah, I would still put Epic 1, which I know is probably pretty controversial, but I would put Disneyland number 2 over Islands. Yeah, I agree. And then I would probably put California Adventure probably between, I would say, Epcot and Dakin Studios.
Yeah, I'm with that.
And then because I'm not a big California Adventure fan. Like I was back when it opened, but I'm not anymore. Just the way that our directions are going in. But I do know there's a lot of new stuff coming, so you know it could you know get a lot better, and it looks like it's gonna be really cool expansion stuff. You know, it's not replacement stuff. But I would say Universal Hollywood. I would probably rank it ahead of Universal Studios, but probably not ahead of Animal Kingdom. However, with Drift opening, that would probably bounce that up above Animal Kingdom, in my opinion, unless Tropical America really blows me away. I'm usually going to go for a really good coaster. And, you know, Mario there is pretty cool. But yeah, and it's hard kind of to compare now just because I have all the same things here. So.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, there's a ton of stuff coming to the Disney World parks, except Epcot. Epcot's getting nothing right now. But
Yeah.
with Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom, are any of those projects coming? And again, we can only go off what we know right now. Could the potential be for any of those parks to move up or maybe even down with all that new stuff coming?
Yeah, I would say Magic Kingdom maybe, but maybe to go up higher depending on how good the villains area really is going to be.
Yeah,
But I don't think so. I mean, potentially Animal Kingdom going higher than Epcot, but I don't really think that would ever happen in my mind. I think my rankings are
yeah,
probably pretty standard. Because I think
pretty
I'm
set in
really going
stone.
to, yeah, I think I'm really going to enjoy the door coaster over at Studios. And it's just going to make that land like super crowded, but I think that'll be a really
Yeah,
good addition to the park.
sure.
But I think they would probably stay about the same. I mean, obviously they could fluctuate kind of between like kind of I was saying like Animal Kingdom and Universal Studios, but
And what were your reactions to the news? Because they made all these big announcements at D23. It's been almost 2 years since that, but they didn't make the announcement at the expo of, the rivers going away and Muppet Vision going away. I don't remember some of your older posts when all that stuff happened, but where were you with the news that the river was going away and Muppet Vision was going away? Were those two of your favorites? Are you okay with it being gone and the new stuff coming in?
well, I would say I was just like everybody else, like, oh my gosh, this sounds wonderful, until they
Yeah,
obviously announced where it was going. And
yeah,
kind of I was just really, really hopeful that it would take Animation Courtyard, just because at the time, with launch
yeah,
day, we didn't know that they had a plan. They should have just said,
right.
hey, we're gonna put it here. And you don't have to necessarily say we're gonna do Animation Courtyard, but they could have just said we're doing some significant upgrades to this area, so we're not putting it there. Kind of
Yeah,
justify it. But to me,
yeah.
Muppet Vision was not something that I really did. I never did it in California.
Oh,
It was
okay.
not something that I've never been passionate about the Muppets. There's nothing wrong with the Muppets. I just personally never got into the
That's your
Muppets.
thing. Yeah,
So to me, that was devastating because I lost my rock and roller coaster for that. So to me, that's what
yeah,
I'm more upset about, because I'd rather get to keep my ride the way it was.
yeah,
But there was America. I just remember my first time coming to Magic Kingdom, and I was just kind of like, what was the purpose of it here? Just because at Disneyland, it was phantasmic. But
right.
to me, it's more the aesthetics of the
Sure.
rivers.
Yeah,
And I wish they would have done the same thing they did at Disneyland and shortened the river, perhaps, or just kind of modified it a little bit. Because I
yeah,
understand, there wasn't a big purpose to the area, but I do think there needs to be a place where it's more relaxing and more of a chill spot, especially in a park that's so crowded and clustered like Magic Kingdom.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I was just really shocked to hear that they would actually get rid of the Rivers of America. But I mean, I'm really hoping that this new area is really great. And
yeah.
obviously, we can all argue that Magic Kingdom does need more capacity, based on how busy the park gets. But
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
also going to make the park a lot busier than it is now, too. So,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll see. Like, I wonder how the reaction would have been if some of these other things recently hadn't gone away. Like, if Splash was still Splash, right? And you can change
right.
to Tiana's. Would the uproar have been as big as it is now? I don't know. Probably, because we know how Dis Twitter is. They just want to lose their minds over everything. And I get why people are frustrated, but my mindset is always like, well, let's just wait and see how it turns out. And I will be the first to tell you, like, if it sucks, like, I'm going to say it sucks. Like, I won't defend it at that point, but I always just kind of would be like, let's just pump the brakes a little bit. Let's just see how it looks. But I also understand that my thing with the river was it was beautiful. Like, it was nice to look at, but did Disney look at that as like wasted space at some point too?
Yeah,
Like, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think they did, and I mean, to me, it's not wasted space, but I can understand why they would believe so. But to me,
Right.
I'd rather do something with some of the other really actual wasted spaces, like the Wonders of Life Pavilion and actual
Hell yeah.
areas that actually are not being utilized. I would love
Right.
for them to do something with World Show Place. Obviously, I know they use that for events, but that Mary Poppins
Yeah.
ride that was going to happen. It doesn't have to necessarily be Mary
Oh,
Poppins, but have something in that area would have been really nice. And then just with the tropical Americas too, like I just really wish they would have been have a way to salvage dinosaur and tweak the theming of it. Maybe we're not looking for
right.
an iguanodon, but keep the theming of dinosaur, and then you can get rid of the Dinorama and make that the Encanto.
Yeah.
But I think they could have tweaked the attraction to fit with the new area, but just changing out the storyline and maybe a couple things here and there, but kept the dinosaur in Animal Kingdom, like because they belong in Animal
Yeah.
Kingdom and they're popular.
Yeah. Yeah, and my hope is like this is them in their like let's just fix up what we have right now because and I talked about this with Drew Smith a couple of weeks ago that people have been clamoring for whatever reason for a fifth park for so long. I don't think a lot of us think they need a fifth park. Like I don't see the point of that right now because there's so much stuff and the 4 parks that they have right now that needs to get fixed. Dinosaur probably could have stayed. It is kind of a bummer that we don't have any dino representation right now in the parks. But at some point, like you would hope they would actually like expand with the land that they have and stop replacing stuff.
Yes.
Like I think it would be great if we got an expansion to something like Pandora. I mean, Pandora's been open for how long now? It's been 6 years or longer, right?
No, it
it's
opened
been
in
longer.
2017.
2017. Oh my God. So it's been almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's been a hot minute. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some expansions at some point. But let's talk about when you go to the park. So you go a lot, but what is a typical day like for you when you do go to a park? Did you go in like planning anything, or since you're local, you can just kind of go and wing it and do whatever you want?
Usually I have a couple things in mind I'd like to do. So whenever I go to Magic Kingdom, I always want to do Space Mountain and People Mover. Everything
Sure.
else is just kind of fair game. Whenever I kind of, check the wait times, obviously, like when you went New Year's week, you knew it was packed. You knew kind of what it was like. I know that those weeks I'm not gonna want to wait 2-3 hours for a ride, so I go do other things like the American Adventure or the Carousel of Progress, things that I might not normally do. So it just kind of depends, but usually I have a mindset of a couple things that I want to ride or do, and then kind of whatever else is just whatever I happen to walk by or whatever's open or has a low wait time. So I would say I kind of plan a little bit, but not really. And usually I kind of have an idea of where I want to eat dinner. I always, eat something at the park, and, usually I get a dessert of some sort depending on, the day or how, hot it is or everything.
And do you have a limit? Like if you see a ride is X amount of minutes, like what's your cutoff from where you are willing to wait for that or not?
It depends on the attraction. I would say, and it also depends on how busy it is, because if I'm going at 11 in the morning and Peter Pan's, 45 minutes, that's more doable than it, 9 o'clock at night and it's 45 minutes. Like it kind of just depends. Like if Small World is a half an hour, I'd rather wait 45 minutes for Peter Pan because it's 15 more minutes for a better attraction. Like it just kind of depends on
Okay.
kind of everything. But yeah, I would just say I can kind of look at a queue, like, okay, I know that's how long it is. Or like I look at Buzz Lightyear and go, okay, it's a couple switchbacks, but the lightning lane's out to greater. Okay, I know that's going to, the line's not going to move. So it can kind of, check, and usually, I'll go back to it later, or just, I kind of know kind of what part of the park I want to go around to. But I always know during fireworks, I know I'm going to go to Peter Pan or Thunder Mountain. Like I kind of know which rides, I want to do at certain times. And then usually I end my night on Space Mountain or Buzz Lightyear and then watch the Starlight at 11.
And don't trust the wait times at the end of the night, right? Because they're always super duper inflated. That's the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it depends. I mean, I'm all for, some of things, but, the Tron one that I posted, I felt like was really out of proportion, especially because I think of all the people here. This is their only time at Magic Kingdom, and they see on the app 85 minutes. They're not going to walk over and see that there's no line, or they look at it, they don't know if it's 85 minutes. They think that is 85 minutes. And, I'm all for, I don't need to be posted to a T, but especially at closing, but kind of make it a little bit more justifiable. And, I understand people are always happy when they wait less, but, over 45-minute overposted, to me, it was just astronomical.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you post some crazy ones where it's listed as X amount of minutes, like some super high wait time, and it's practically a walk-on.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. It is frustrating. I mean, I know sometimes, usually at one point it is that way, and then it's just not adjusted, in a timely manner, but, it's just, I just look at it as a guest that doesn't know and is looking at the app or walking by. People just trust that number more than anything.
Yeah. So when you go to the parks, is it always go, go, go? Or do you kind of like give yourself some like relaxation time, like some just time to sit down and people watch or listen to the background music? And if you do have a spot, like where are some of your favorite spots to just kind of sit down and relax and soak it all in?
Nah, I'm go, go, go. I mean, I try to do as many rides as I can. I mean, I rode 14 rides in 5 hours at Magic Kingdom on Sunday. I mean, I try to do as much as I possibly can. And anybody I go to the parks with can obviously advocate for me on that. I mean, I'll spend 15 minutes eating dinner and I'm on to the next thing. I very much, let's go to the next ride. Let's, do whatever, I can get to. I mean, obviously if it's raining or something, there's a different, but, usually if it's raining, okay, Space Mountain, like I'm right there at the exit, I can just loop back in the greeter, it kind of just depends.
Wow,
but no, I'm very much, getting as many rides as I possibly can.
Man, so like every once in a blue moon, like I'll take a solo trip down, like I'll go to Destination D23 and I go by myself because my wife's a teacher, kids are in school, so they don't get to go to that stuff. And many times when I go to the parks during that event, like the 4 or 5 days that I'm there, like I'll just pop a squat on a bench somewhere and just listen to the music and people watch and just kind of take it all in. So I don't know if I could hang with you in a park. This sounds like a lot. It's like a little marathon going on.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I'll do that is at Christmas time. I will definitely sit at Echo Lake and listen to the whole hour, 90-minute loop and listen. And especially, I used to do that a lot after Fantasmic. And I would wait for them to, like, you know, come by with their, like, you know, like clearing the park, clearing 50s prime time, and then be like, okay, now I gotta go. You know, like, you know, I'm not trying to have anybody armed, but I absolutely love Echo Lake at Christmas time, especially at night. So I will do it there, but I won't give up park time to do it always. But definitely, like, New Year's week when it's super packed, I will do that as well, because I'd rather sit at Echo Lake for an hour than stand, as you saw my 200-minute profile picture on Tower of Terror. So
Jeez Louise. And we're going to talk about Christmas in a little bit, because there was some Christmas news over the past couple of days. So of course we're going to talk about that. So on your page, if people haven't seen by now, I don't know how they haven't seen it, but you were super prolific about pointing out like maintenance issues on rides. Like you'll go on, I see you on Monsters Unchained all the time, and you'll say like, this one was working today, but this one wasn't working. Or obviously Tiana's a really big one. Like you'll point out all the animatronics that aren't working on that. So is that something that you kind of always had an eye on? You thought, oh, maybe this would be interesting for people on Twitter? Or how did you become like so involved in kind of posting about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same kind of thing. Like I was mentioning, kind of how I started to, you know, start posting was because I didn't realize people cared about those kinds of things. And, you know, to me, it's not about, you know, making the attraction look bad or anything. It's wanting the ride to be at its best shape. And a lot of, too, with Epic Universe, we don't get to go very often. And people don't post from Epic Universe much. So being able to post, you know, about the attraction, you know, I'm always interested when people are at Epic and wanting to know how the attractions are looking. And, but I mean, I feel like it's something that people care about, you know, as far as, you know, all the attractions, you know, wanting to know when things work and don't work. And especially, you know, I get comments all the time. Oh, great. I was here last week. You know, this animatronic was broken. Is it working now? Or just kind of, you know, I do get those kinds of comments too. But yeah, I mean, I always care about that. And now learning other people, you know, have an eye for that as well. Like, you know, I think it's fun to update, and I'm always one to give praise when they do fix things. You know, I'm not gonna be that person that's always here to criticize and say, you know, this ride has a lot broken. You know, I also want to post, you know, hey, they actually fixed this on this ride, or this looks better. And, you know, it's all about updating and not just, you know, criticizing and acting like everything's broken all the time, because that's not always the case.
So when you go on a ride, is it hard for you to kind of like set aside like just darting around and be like, okay, this is working, good. Oh, I gotta make a mental note of that. This is not working. Let me take a video of that. Is it hard to just kind of turn that off, or is that part of you that's always just focused on that when you're on these rides?
That's always been a part of me being on the rides, you know, for the last, you know, 30 years of my life. You know, that's always something that I've always known, and just, you know, I mean, usually when I go on Monsters, I'll take it in the first time and then I will video the second time. But, you know, when I go on these other rides, you know, like Tiana's, it's very easy to just, you know, okay, we're going a mile an hour and there's nothing else to look at. Let's take a video of Lewis here, you know, where it's easy. But yeah, no, I mean, it's always been something that, you know, I've always looked at as a kid, and just, you know, always wanting to see, you know, what works and what doesn't work. That's just always has been, my brain has always worked, you know, going on attractions and wanting to see, you know, what works and what doesn't.
So you'll go on like a faster ride like Monsters, and you'll ride it normal, and then you'll go on it again and then document what was not working with it?
Because
that's
that
smart.
So easy that's so easy to go on again. You know, obviously, like, you know, certain attractions, like, you know, Ministry, for instance, like, you know, I waited 35 minutes for it when I went a couple days ago. You know, I didn't know if I was going to be able to ride it again. So, you know, obviously I can document it, you know, when I go on it the first time. But yeah, it just depends on the attraction. But yeah, I mean, my brain, you know, I'm not always thinking I'm going to video necessarily every time. I mean, there's certain attractions, obviously, like Monsters and Tiana's, and sometimes Rise of the Resistance, but that one's actually been really consistent in what's been working and not working lately, so I haven't really had much to update on that one, because the same things have been broken for months, and the other things have been working really well, so there's not really any updates. But yeah, it just depends on what people are interested in, too. You know, certain rides I post that people care more about than others.
So let's just talk about some of the rides that are really on the struggle bus. So, like, you named Tiana's, you named Rise, you named Monsters Unchained, and I feel like Potter Ministry has like a lot of issues still, too, right?
Yeah, it depends. Obviously, the pendulum, barely anybody's ever seen work. I saw it work on Halloween. That's the only time I've ever seen it work. However, I have heard it has worked since then, over the last couple months, but, you know, not any time that I've ridden. But it's a truly amazing effect when it did work. I absolutely, like, my jaw was dropped. Like, I didn't know that was even an effect. You know, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
That's cool.
And so I immediately got back and winded the video. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing. But yeah, I would say Monsters comes and goes. I mean, right now we're in kind of a good phase on Monsters. It's in pretty good shape right now. But I think a lot of it just has to do with, these are so advanced animatronics and figures that they're using. And I believe the same with Tiana's as well. And just, it's so specialized as far as who carries these parts and pieces and who they're ordering them from. And, you know, they don't have the back stock that, you know, Disney and Universal might need. You know, I guess I don't know how all this works, but just, you know, just thinking about, you know, just kind of how it might be. But yeah, it's just, but there's difference between Tiana's, who literally, some of those animatronics, like, it's been months of them not working, versus Monsters usually, you know, within a couple of days it'll work and then it might break again. But I mean, some of those animatronics and Tiana's I can look at, haven't literally been touched, you know, so I don't know what the deal is, if they're waiting on parts or they're, you know, giving up. I don't really know. So
yeah, and the thing with Tiana's too is, like you said, it is such a slow moving ride. It's not like it's here and gone in a second. You may not even notice it's fully not working properly, but it's so slow. Like, you can see it. Like, if any of the Tianas or Mama Odie's or whatever in the ride of Lewis isn't working, it's pretty bad show. Like, it doesn't look great. And for it to be down as long and as often as what you're saying. So, like, what do you think would be the better way to go about it? Just, like, maybe fix it and just have it break again? Just not even touch it? We'll get to it later. Or should they just completely shut some of these rides down and just completely work the kinks out and just keep their fingers crossed that they don't run into these issues again? Like, what's the best way to go about that?
I mean, it's hard to say. I just think the problem with that attraction is just like with Splash Mountain, you have an animatronic that breaks. You know, I'm not saying that ride was perfect all the time, especially in its latter years, but there was so much to look at. In this one, when one of the animatronics isn't working, it's just a blank screen or it's dark and there's nothing else to see. And if this is your first time on the attraction and a lot of the animatronics are frozen, to me, that's really not a good show. But I understand them not wanting to close it for a week just because one animatronic's broken. But at the same time, you know, this is multiple, and it used to be where they would kind of have crooked necks or kind of move their arms funky, and now it's just turning into completely frozen. So, I mean, I really want the ride to be better, but it's just really tough when it's not, you know, in the condition that it should be, especially that it's so new. And Disneyland's, I know, is constantly in better condition than ours, and it doesn't really make sense, you know, given they're supposed to be the same animatronics and they're operating almost the same amount of hours a day. So, but I'm hoping that it gets us a winter refurb maybe in January or February, because it hasn't gotten one since the ride opened. Now with Thunder Mountain open, maybe they can afford to lose that attraction for a month or two. I know a lot of the winter refurb is more, you know, logistics on the actual attraction, not necessarily like on the animatronics, but they can do that at the same time. But I would just like them to add more to look at, you know, in the background, whether it's, you know, charts or other things, like just to have more scenic things to look at on the attraction.
So obviously, you just mentioned Big Thunder. That was down for, what was it, like 18 months? It was
16
long,
months, yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time that ride was down. What ride at Disney do you think next may go down for a really long, extended period of time, because it just needs a whole bunch of work? And not Carousel of Progress, because that's a little bit of a different thing. But like Space Mountain hasn't had a retrack in forever, so I think that's probably due for something. Like, what could you see going down for a long time that needs a lot of work?
Well, unfortunately, I think Space would probably be the next one, and I'm guessing probably once Piston Peak or Villains opens would maybe be when it would go down. The ride I would personally like would be What's a Small World or Peter Pan, because those attractions really haven't been touched since they opened in 71. Like, you can go on YouTube and look at a video from 1975, and they look exactly the same as it does now. Like, there's literally zero changes whatsoever. And seeing how Disneyland, you know, got all the really nice updates on both of those attractions, I would love for Disney World to get some love as well. So, I mean, personally, I would prefer those ones to get love, you know, just how Buzz Lightyear did. But I could see Space Mountain honestly being the next one. And I think if they do a space refurb, they can also do a People Mover refurb, because, you know, they're in the same buildings, which I would hate to lose both of those attractions at the same time for me going to the parks. But Thunder was worth it in a sense. But I think that those could definitely be, you know, ones that they would think about doing, like you said, after Carousel Progress.
For sure. And so we name like the big four. So we name Ministry and Monsters and Tiana and Rise. But what are some other rides that you've noticed that maybe have been hurting a little bit, as far as like things are constantly broken, maybe not working as they should? Has there been anything else that's kind of like
Winnie the Pooh is kind of one that's struggling. I posted the rain season broken for at least about a month. I'll see if I ride it today.
I didn't see that.
Now, and the Pooh that swings in the first scene has been broken since I moved here. So it's been 2 years.
Holy cow.
So that one is one, and then the guy hasn't had, like, the smoke effect has not worked in many, many months. And his door actually opens and closes. It just doesn't blow smoke. So I don't know what the deal is with that, too. But that's another one that's kind of on the struggle bus. I mean, obviously there's attractions, you know, like, that aren't in the best shape, like Figment. But, I mean, there's nothing really broken on it. It just doesn't look the best. But
yeah. Okay. And then so let me talk about Universal versus Disney a little bit, because you're a big fan of both. So what are some things that you think Disney does better than Universal, and then vice versa?
It's tough to say. I think Disney's food overall is much better than Universal
I would
food.
agree with that,
Aside
yeah.
from Epic Universe, I feel like Epic's food is really outstanding. But
Yeah.
and the price point of the food at Disney is a lot more affordable too. I mean, I know we all like to complain about food pricing, but eating at Cosmic Race for $13-14 as opposed to the Universal, it's over $20 for a cheeseburger and fries. So just the pricing just and obviously if you go to when you go to Busch Gardens or you go to SeaWorld, their prices are even higher. But I understand they justify it with admission prices. I think the express system is better at Universal. However, it causes more of a problem because you can't really control who's going in and out of those lines like you can at Disney. When I'm using my Hagrid's Express and it's constantly 30 to 45 minutes versus I know at Disney, if I have a lightning lane, it's usually, 10 to 15, except for a couple of attractions like Guardians and Flight of Passage. So I think, it's nice in the mindset of I can just do the rides whenever I want, but, it's also you're waiting a lot longer for the rides and they don't send the ratios like Disney sends. It's kind of like 50-50 as far as like express versus standby versus Disney. They do majority. It just depends on the attraction, but I feel like Universal is more, like Hagrid's, they do as much as they can with Express, but like Velocicoaster, it's always, it seems to be like 50-50. So to me, it's not really like you save as much time sometimes.
Nope. That stuck out to me like a sore thumb.
Yeah, but I know it's a big perk if you stay at those hotels, getting that free Express, is a big game changer for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And so I understand that, and you're okay waiting, 20 to 30 minutes, but that's why a lot of times, even though my pass has Express, I use single rider like for Mummy and Hulk and some of these attractions because I know single rider is still going to be faster.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So D23 is coming up soon. We're less than 2 months away. I'm going to actually be out there for that, so I'm super stoked. What do you think some predictions on your part might be? Some things that might get announced? And what do you, like, maybe blue sky stuff you really wish would be announced, but you don't think there's a big chance of it actually happening?
Well, I think the Shanghai second park is probably going to be announced. I mean, we've all been talking about that. I'm really hoping with that comes something with Spaceship Earth and Figment, especially if they get those the same, like maybe we get the same Spaceship Earth refurb that they're getting or a Figment attraction. Because every single time you always say, this is going to be Figment, this is going to be Figment, and it never is. And really, really, really hoping that we hear something. And I mean, I think now with all the merch sales, they realize, he's really valuable. And I think before, I remember the Inside Out rumors and all that, but I think his ride will stay, but I'm really, really hoping that we get some kind of an update. But I'm not anticipating anything really huge being announced. I'm hoping for more dates as far as, okay, we're thinking Monsters Inc. is going to be in fall of 2028. We're thinking Villains is going to be spring of 2030, kind of just more like general timelines, or maybe like, okay, the Villains area is going to have 3 attractions and, a show and a restaurant, just kind of like more details about the land. Like that's kind of more what I would be looking for as far as an update. But I'm not anticipating, something like a really big announcement but I mean, who knows, they can always surprise us with things. But that's kind of what I'd be hoping for, just kind of more details about the things we already know about.
Yeah. And when you lived out there, did you ever go to any of the D23 events?
No, I never did. I mean, I was in the parks, on those days, but no, I never physically went to the event. It's just very expensive, and I know it's a lot of, it's a lot of work and hassle to go to and everything. But no, I never went.
Okay, very cool. Well, I'll be curious like everybody else to see what happens. I'm stoked. I think you're right, though. We're going to get a lot of detail about what's coming to these lands because we don't really know much. I mean, just some rumor stuff here and there for Piston Peak and Villains Land anyway. Everything else we kind of know more about, but details is what I think I'm looking forward to. And I would lose my mind if we finally get new stuff with Figment. Because you're right, they've really leaned into him over the past X amount of years, like with the merchandise and the festival stuff. So I think now's hopefully the time. We'll see. Epcot could use some love, man. Epcot could use a little bit of love.
And especially now, he was always kind of the art festival. Now he's kind of turning into the Christmas festival now with Festival Holidays, with his sweater. Last year that was all the merch was all him. And he used to kind of be some of the Frozen, they would kind of throw in some other characters. And now he kind of has both those festivals now. So I think, obviously people buy all the merch, and people would go on the ride if it was better. I mean, I go on it every time, but I know a lot of people don't. And, I understand. But so like I said, I'm really hoping that we finally get something about him. That would be really, really great.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right, so that was really fun. We got to talk a little bit about your backstory and all of your, maintenance stuff with the rides. But now we're going to do something I always love doing. We're going to do the lightning round. Now,
Okay.
this is very easy. I'm going to give you 13 questions. And you heard the reasoning why I like 13 questions? Because there's nothing more fun than going up to Tower and seeing a 13 on the sign, because it's a walk-on. I always think that's super fun. Yeah, so we're going to do 13 questions for you. You don't have to overthink anything too much. I just want you to kind of give me your first instinct when it comes to these questions, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. What's a ride you've never been evacuated off of that you want to be evacuated off of?
That's a great question, because I would have said Rock and Roller Coaster, but I actually have been evacuated off of that one.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It was great. It happened April of last year during an after hours, and
cool.
I've always wanted to walk through the show building, and
Wow.
and then literally got off the ride, walked over, and got my own elevator and tower repairs. So I would say that was like the best 10 minutes of my life.
That's
right there.
awesome. That's killer.
But I would say, I mean, I've been evacuated off of a lot of attractions, but I think Expedition Everest or Spaceship Earth. I mean, Spaceship Earth, I was evacuated off of about 2 months ago, but I was evacuated like right at the end of the attraction. Like at the catwalk at the top would have been like, that's like dream spot right there. Like,
yeah. So you've been evacuated off of a lot. I mean, I guess you go so often. Your odds are pretty good.
yeah, and most things in Disneyland. Here, not quite as much. I mean, I've got to Winnie the Pooh, Rise of the Resistance, like at the gun scene. That was a pretty cool evac.
That's cool.
I've been evacuated off of Tiana's like right before the first lift, so it doesn't really count. But and then at Disneyland, I've been evac Splash Mountain in the Zippity Doodah room and on the sea lift, like the third lift.
That's
so
cool.
Those are both very cool.
Very
but
cool.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of attraction. I mean, when you go to the parks as much as me, you're going to get evacuated. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we know Disney loves to bring IP into the parks. It seems like if we're going to get anything new as far as an attraction, it's going to be an IP. So what is an IP that's not currently in the parks that you would want to bring into the parks?
I would say a movie that I always loved, and everybody would always agree the soundtrack is Tarzan. And they got rid of the treehouse, obviously Disneyland, but having something like an Animal Kingdom, kind of like maybe you're swinging in the woods or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could do a lot with Tarzan. I mean, I really had a show there. I would also love to see some more Bugs Life back in the parks too, because that's my favorite Pixar movie. If they did kind of a land with the two of them, or something, just kind of. I think those are two IPs that are really, really great that they could, expand upon and make something cool. That would definitely fit thematically into the park as well. And Animal Kingdom does need more things to do.
Absolutely. So I think I know the answer to this next question because you touched on it earlier, but sit-down meal or quick service meal?
Quick service. Usually I'll do sit-downs. I would see maybe once a month. I'll do it occasionally. I'm a really picky eater, so there's not a lot of places I'll eat at. But, I mean, I go to Tony's a lot. I'll go to Via Napoli every now and then and Space 220. Those are kind of the ones I would go to the most. Obviously, I got hooked on that Tiffin's Burger, but I haven't been back since because I don't usually go to Animal Kingdom during their lunch hour.
Fair enough, yeah.
But yeah, Sci-Fi is another one I'll do too in Hollywood Studios. But yeah, quick service, is usually what I do. I mean, I have a couple places in each park I'll tend to go to, so.
And what are some of your tops for quick service?
I ate Cosmic Rays today. I'll do that one. I'll do Casey's. Those are my two favorites at Magic Kingdom.
I love it.
Epcot, it's usually going to be Connections or at the Mexico Cantina or Regal Eagle. Hollywood Studios, generally I'll eat it by tower. So, Catalina Eddie's, like the Pizza Rizzo Express or Rosie's or Woody's Lunchbox. The grilled cheese is great. If I'm there for lunch, I would do Dockside. I love those hot dogs at Dockside.
Nice.
Animal Kingdom is tough because I always used to eat at Restaurantosaurus. So now I'll do like the Harambe Market, chicken tenders, or Pizza Fari, or the Flame Tree Barbecue. So it just kind of depends.
Some good ones. Okay, cool. And this is going to kind of go right into that. What's a restaurant you've never eaten at that you would like to eat at? Maybe you just haven't gotten to it yet, or...
I would say Summer House at Disney Springs. I've heard a lot of really good things about that one.
Good.
I've had their cookies, but I've never actually eaten at the restaurant. But that's one. T-Rex was another one, and I just tried that like recently, and I thought it was really great. But yeah, I mean, there's so many places here. I mean, obviously, I live right down the street from all these, and I still don't go to the mall, so...
Okay. A ride in the parks you think needs to be updated next. So I guess we already kind of touched on that. I guess I shot myself in the foot a little bit with bringing that up earlier. So we'll kind of skip over that one. Let's see. Your favorite park at night?
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, right. It's got to be all the neon and everything glowing. It's so cool.
Yeah, unless
What's
unless Epic counts, because that one is obviously the best. But
you could say
Hollywood,
Epic.
Hollywood for the 4 Disney ones for sure. Like not even close in my opinion.
What's your favorite land in Hollywood at night?
Sunset Boulevard is always my favorite
Gotcha.
land. That's my favorite
Yeah.
land in any Disney
So cool.
park. Like, being from California and my 2 favorite rides, my favorite show, really good food. Like, I always say if I could live in a land, that would be the one because there's so much there. You have 3 different shows. I have 2 different food places.
Yeah.
I have, 2 rides that I could ride as many times as I want and not get tired of them. Tons of shopping. It's just so much.
Okay. Let's see. Favorite mode of Disney transportation. So you've got the bus, the boats, the Skyline, the monorail.
Definitely the monorail. I take it the most, parking in Magic Kingdom, but absolutely not the Skyliner. I do not like the Skyliner at all, and I feel like it's extremely inefficient.
Oh, wow. So do you just not like it, or are you like scared to ride it? Because I know a lot of people are scared to ride it too.
No, I mean, I was stuck in it one time for 45 minutes. That was not a fun experience. However, they did greet us
45
with Disney.
minutes?
Yeah, however, they did greet us with Disney gift cards getting off of it, but I did not enjoy that. But no, it's more just like I can walk from Hollywood to Epcot a lot faster than I can take the Skyliner. So I don't see it as being super efficient. I mean, the best it would ever be is about 20 minutes, and I can walk it in 20 minutes. So to me, it isn't very efficient. But yeah, I mean, I'll take the ferry every now and then, but what drives me crazy about the ferry is you sit there forever until it leaves. So
Yeah, that drives me nuts too. Let's see. So we talked about this too, because your first trip to Disney World wasn't until 2018. So what is a ride you never got to ride that you wish you could go back and do?
always going to say Horizons.
Yeah, that's everybody's answer, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I would say other ones would be one that you probably haven't heard much. Actually, 2 would be Delta Dreamflight and Snow White.
Oh, yeah.
Because I really, really love Delta Dreamflight. Like, the soundtrack is amazing.
Yes.
I love my chickens over here on Buzz. I always say hi to them every time. I listen to the music as I'm going on Buzz and getting my 3 to 4 million score. I'm always listening to Delta Dreamflight in my ear.
That's so cool.
But Snow White, I've always loved watching on YouTube. Like, I feel like it was so much better than Disneyland's. How it was the actual like story of the ride, and I was just, even with the update, I still feel like the one here was better. And I really, really, really sad that it turned into a meet and greet. And I feel like a meet and greet could have gone where I'm sitting right now, and they could have had the attraction still. But yeah, that one, and obviously if you watch a video from like the 70s and 80s, like how scary it was, like, oh my goodness, like that was crazy. But those 2 attractions, like if you want to go for a little bit of a niche one, I would say those ones. Like those are really
good answers. Delta Dreamflight, you don't hear that one come up a lot. You're right.
I mean, Kitchen Cabaret and World of Motion are 2 other ones, but
okay, very good. I like those too. What is your biggest core Disney parks memory? Like, what is something you just always remember, like just sticks out?
I would say watching the parades as a child. Like, I was always one. Cool. My parents, I would have every Beanie Baby there possibly is, and every time the floats go by, I always wave them to the characters, and a lot of times they would come over to you. And that's something that I really miss about current Disney parades is there's not all the walking around characters that there used to be, and in Starlight there's only Tinkerbell, and Festival of Fantasy. I feel like there's an okay amount at the end of the parade, but watching. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen on the internet, but the Parade of the Stars, the 45-year parade, was my favorite parade of all time. And there's 40 to 50 characters in the parade, and being in the parade too, they let you be in the parade. I was in it multiple times, and I got to be with with Bianca from Rescuers. That was the first one I was in, but I also got to be with Brer Rabbit and different characters in the parade. And
that's cool.
It was just so fun, and just obviously watching Meteorological Parade was another one too. But just those, just seeing the characters, and obviously that was something that was really important to me as a child. Seeing the characters and the entertainment. Like, I would want to do that more than the rides, at the time. So.
Very cool. All right, so what is don't think about rides. What's a non-ride thing you wish the Disney parks would bring back in? And I ask that because, there's so many things people talk about, like, oh, I wish the fountain was back at Epcot, or the old school fiber optic lighting that was in the ground. So like a non-ride thing you wish would be back. It could be a music loop. It could be anything. A restaurant.
That's a good question. There's obviously a lot of music loops that I enjoy that are no longer here, but they wouldn't really thematically fit the area anymore.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, the fountain at Epcot was a big kinetic energy. I mean, to me, a lot of it is aesthetics at the park. I missed a lot of things, like just like for Bugs Land instance, like just walking around and seeing the little straws and the popsicles and just the aesthetics of a lot of the lands were really cool, and you know, the attention to detail. I mean, obviously, like I know there's a lot of attention to detail when you walk into Galaxy's Edge, but you know, I miss, you know, other things that there were. I mean, I really wish I could have seen the Osborne lights. I mean, I did get to see the dream lights on the castle in 2019, but just that's a great question. But honestly, like I mean, the night parade I think was a pretty big one. But yeah, I mean, a lot of two aesthetics, you know, looking at older attractions, you know, just the kinetic energy type of things like the swan boats and the Discovery River boats, just different things like that are really nice. And just areas that used to have life, you know, like in Animal Kingdom, you know, the amphitheater is just sitting there, you know, it'd be nice to have something there. Just kind of things like that are more atmospheric and things that people could enjoy that there's not really anything there right now. Like you said, the fountain, there's nothing there. It's just a planter. Like, you know, you could sit there and look at a fountain and it would, you know, play different songs or do different things. And there's nothing, you know, I mean, I could honestly sit there and listen to Innovations music on repeat, you know, and there's you know,
I love it. I listen to it all the time.
I mean, I would honestly sit in the Figment bathroom, you know, hear the whole 15-minute loop if I could, and they changed it right before I moved here, so I could never do that.
That's my favorite secret bathroom too. I love that bathroom.
But I mean, now even during the art festival, I'll go sit in the Figment room for an hour and hear the entire, you know, 2 loops and other loops mixed in there. Like that is something that I actually will sit and listen to if we're going back on that. But that is something that I really enjoy.
Okay, what is your favorite Disney Parks gift shop?
That's a great question.
So many. It could be like an exit gift shop from a ride. It could be something on Main Street. It could be any gift shop.
I mean, I would say the old Rockin' gift shop was. I really like the Tower gift shop too, but
that's a good one.
What they're selling, but I just like anything that kind of blends in with the store. Old World of Disney was something that I really, really loved. I love the big characters and just like the different rooms of it. Like, but yeah, I would say mostly just attraction gift shops are usually my favorite. I used to really, really love Star Traders at Disneyland until they kind of took out the Star Wars merch and kind of just made it more generic merch. Also, the Small World toy shop was my favorite. The one gift shop that I really, really miss is the Gag Factory in Toontown. I loved that gift shop, you know, especially as a kid too. You know, the energy in there with the chain, you know, and used to make your own ears in there. There was a lot of different things that we used to have in that store that I really loved.
Okay. Worst thing you've ever eaten at a park?
I would say, because I didn't like it, but calamari.
Oh, that's an acquired taste. I get that. Where did you have it at? Now I gotta ask.
Wine Country Trattoria.
Ooh, so you just don't like calamari then, right?
No, I don't eat seafood. Sounds like. No
seafood at all?
No.
Oh man.
I mean, I would say things that I don't think are good are like obviously the Disney World churros compared to Disneyland.
The worst. Oh my god, I say that all the time. They're so bad.
I don't think the Mickey pretzels are very good.
Thank you.
And especially now that they're $8.50, like that's, you know, a little bit much to me.
That's for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I like the popcorn, you know, for $2.50. I think that's a great deal.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, now I kind of know what I like and what I don't like. But yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't really had that many bad experiences with food in general, but just, I mean, obviously, you know, some of the pizza, you know, like the Pizza Planet pizza or some of the stuff can't be not the greatest quality, but, you know, you kind of pay for it sometimes.
Fair enough. All right. And we're down to our last question. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party or Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party? What's your favorite?
Oh, well, if you look at my page, you know, I'm a big Christmas fan. And
I know you are.
Last year I went to 11 of them. I don't know if I'll go to quite this many this year, but I absolutely love them. I am very, very into that. I watched the Castle Show over 40 times last year and the parade over 25 times. I am a huge Christmas person, and
same.
You know, I absolutely love Christmas, and I spend every second I can at Christmas time at the parks. Like, it's my favorite time of year.
That's so cool. See, like, I've always said, like, I think I like the Halloween parade more, but I like the Christmas party as a whole more.
Yeah, no, Booty is great. I mean, it's a great parade. I love the soundtrack. I like the Christmas parade better, but I'm totally cool if you like the Halloween one better. I think they're both wonderful. Like, I think they're both great. I like Christmas Fantasy at Disneyland as well. Saw that one plenty of times.
I've got to get out to Disneyland for Christmas time at some point. That's one thing I have not done yet. When I was at a D23 in 2020 or whatever year it was, 22, I don't know. All the years are just mixing in. It was later in August, so they did all the Halloween stuff. There was an Oogie Boo Bash going on, so I got to go there and see DCA and Disneyland all dressed up, and it looked so good all throughout the parks. I love it. So I got to see Christmas out there now too, and get one of the candy canes. I know that's a big deal too. Like the candy canes, people go nuts for that.
I'm not a candy cane eater, but yeah, people really, really hype those things up, and I have heard they're really
love
good.
'em.
And I'm not a big fan. I don't like gingerbread, and I've tried those cookies, and I know they're really great, but I'm just not a gingerbread person.
Okay.
But I know the Hollywood Studios ones are pretty comparable this year. They have at Starbucks. But yeah, I mean, obviously they're different than the ones they sell like at the confectionery, but yeah, no, Christmas at Disneyland is outstanding. You know, Small World Holiday is my very, very favorite over like even more than Haunted Mansion Holiday. Yeah, I'm a huge Small World lover. Like, I absolutely love Small World at Disneyland, and I really, really, really miss doing that. And it's just nice, you know, seeing the Christmas parade, the Christmas fireworks, you know, every single night. You know, there's no ticketed event for that, so I think that's a big plus too.
Very cool. All right, see, so lightning round over. You had some very cool answers. I'm still hung up on the Delta Dream flight. I think that's so rad. I love that. Now I want to go watch a POV of that. All right, so.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to news, and there's a lot to talk about. And you just brought up gingerbread, and what a perfect time to bring that up, because now we got to talk about what's making everybody on Diz Twitter lose their mind. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, people, I don't know where you've been, but the iconic Grand Floridian gingerbread house will not be returning to the Grand Floridian this year. Now, according to Scott Gustin, I guess he had some intel that said it is being permanently retired. I didn't realize it. It had been 26 years that they had been doing that at the Grand Floridian. I looked online. It said 1999 was the first year. Now, they didn't do it last year, of course, because they were redoing the whole lobby, and I guess that was the excuse last year. Little did we know that that was going to be like the last time back in, so that would have been December of 24 that we got to see the big house. So they're going to have like a smaller version. Is it just going to be one, or are there going to be multiple ones put around? I don't know if I've seen like a definitive answer on that yet, but just smaller gingerbread houses are going to be in there now. But when you heard that news, because you're a big Christmas person, what were your thoughts when you first heard that wasn't coming back?
It didn't surprise me as much as it might surprise other people, just because, you know, when you lose something one year, it's kind of a way for them to not bring it back sometimes. I mean, that's kind of unfortunately the history. But I just don't understand why they can't put it somewhere else in the resort, and that's exactly what I said last year. I feel like there's a lot of places in the resort they could put it. I know, I mean, I've been in the lobby since they changed it. I understand, you know, it is a harder switch to fit that in with the bar, and fit that in with the tree, and fit that in with everything. Like, I get that. But just, it's confusing to me, because I always feel like that made them a lot of money. You know, I've seen people talking about 30,000 a day figures. I don't necessarily know if I believe that much.
I don't know where they got that number,
Just say even 5,000 to 10,000 a day. You know, I don't see them making that on these little houses, you know, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, certainly disappointing. I mean, I can't see anybody that being the sole reason they come to Disney for the holidays, but it's definitely a big reason why somebody might want to stay at that resort. And it's a tradition for a lot of people, maybe to get their picture in front of it. And, but yeah, it was, you know, it's very sad. You know, it's something that, you know, a lot of people are really passionate about. I mean, I've gotten to see it. But that was, you know, obviously seeing it like on the Christmas specials, you know, growing up, you know, never coming here, you know, I always knew about it. But yeah, it's sad to hear. And, you know, I wish that they would find a way to put it somewhere else, you know, and
it is a bummer.
It's certainly shocking.
Yeah, and somebody who I think we both follow on Twitter, it's a Theme Park Cheetah, I think is his handle, if I'm remembering correctly, said like they could just put it in the convention center, like down the way a little bit. Just put it there and have everybody go over there, and you could have the whole setup and sell all the cookies and all that other stuff. It is a bummer, but you know, they've also got that bar there now, and the bar's not like huge, but it definitely takes up some space. So between that and the tree and the furniture and then the gingerbread house, was that just like too much going on down there now? And if that's the case, then people are going to resent that bar being there even more now that we don't get the gingerbread house. Like, that's a bummer. So people were pissed about that yesterday, and then we got this today, and I guess it was in some kind of verbiage yesterday, and some people kind of picked up on it, but Disney shared details for the upcoming holiday season, and there was a little bit of a blurb in one of the statements they put out saying, for guests staying at the resorts or those with valid dining reservations, the Disney Resorts Collection offers a wide array of bright and merry holiday decor. So we got the news last week that you couldn't take a bus anymore from Springs to whatever resort you wanted to go to unless you had an ADR, some kind of recreational activity, or obviously you were staying at any of the Disney resorts. And now we're hearing that, you're probably not going to be able to go to the resorts unless you have a reservation in one of the hotels or not. So as a local, how do you feel about that news? Like, you're not going to have a hotel reservation, so are you not going to be able to go to any of these to see the holiday displays?
Well, I mean, that's not something that affects me too much. I just go to the parks, really. I don't really go to the hotels. But
really?
I see it more as prohibiting people from parking at the resort. I don't know how many people try to show up to Beach Club and said, "Hi, we just want to park here and see the gingerbread house," and they were formerly allowed to. Now they're not. I don't know if that is more what they're going for, or they're actually going to have people standing at the entrance of Beach Club saying, "Hi, we need to scan your Magic Band and make sure you're staying here." I don't know kind of how this is going to translate, but if I want to go see it walking from Epcot over, I don't see what the problem is if I want to go see the gingerbread house from the park. I understand not wanting to park the car, but so I'm curious how this is going to all be, how they're going to get on this. Yeah, and another thing that came out today too was about Trader Sam's, and you're not allowed to go to the Polynesian to go to Trader Sam's unless you're actually staying there. And so, I know there's been some talk about somebody that was trying to walk through the Polynesian and was told they couldn't. I don't know the truth to that as well, but I think that's pretty crazy if I'm not even allowed to go to the Polynesian to enjoy Captain Cook's or just in general. I think that there needs to be stricter guidelines on as far as the poly for the fireworks and for the swimming pools. I'm glad that they're starting to crack down on the French Quarter pool I saw and things like that. I do think those things need to be for resort guests only and not people just hovering chairs all day and then just having people just show up and take them. People are actually staying at the resort, can't enjoy the pool and all things like that. Yep. But I think it's a little crazy if you're not even allowed to walk into the hotel unless you're staying there.
Yeah.
But I do know, that is a big perk of staying at these hotels. You don't want all these people in there all the time. But I think there's one thing to tell people they're not allowed to park at Disney Springs and take the bus for free versus not being able to park at the TTC and take the monorail. Are they going to have people standing at the end of the monorail? "Hi, we need to scan your band." Is that how it's going to be? I don't know. And I don't know if they're kind of just going to see how it kind of goes these next couple weeks and then kind of decide on how they're going to enforce it for the holidays. But I think the bottom line, if that's going to be what's happening, is people are going to make a lot of ghost reservations and book Kona Cafe and not show up. And so I think what they're going to have to do is make it not a $10 fee anymore, but a $20 or $30 per person fee for not showing up. But now you're going to have Kona Cafe with no reservations for anybody who actually wants to eat there and empty tables because all these people that are supposed to eat there are just chewing the reservation because they just want to go to the Poly. So I don't know how this is all going to work.
So I know the rule with that also is you have to cancel within 2 hours, right? You can't cancel. Yeah. Okay. So I wonder if they're going to say hey, you can't get on the monorail yet or take the bus or whatever over there until you fall within that window. So then you can't just go in and just cancel it. So maybe that's a way to get around it. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of logistics, but I was talking to Seafoam Safari, who I think you're friends with as well, and she loves the Poly, and I've seen a lot of people use the Poly as an example. I feel like that's the hot button hotel right now, and probably to some extent the Grand, that I've always wanted to stay at the Poly, but we visited there to go have dinner or something, and I couldn't handle the lobby. There was way too many people in there. It was overcrowded, and I own a DVC contract, and we stay at the Poly all the time. And I will tell you, there are times where it's not so awesome to stay there because that lobby is absolutely slammed. There was a 4th of July. I want to say it was 2 summers ago because last summer we went on a cruise instead, and it was the 4th of July, and they do enforce on the 3rd and the 4th of July, and then New Year's Eve, and I think the 30th they do fireworks in Magic Kingdom too, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's those 4 nights. They are super strict. There's no beach access unless you are staying at this resort. And you have to go to the front desk, you have to get a wristband, and they are super duper strict about it. But that's only for the beach. So, that whole lawn area around the Poly and all around the pool, there was just a sea of people at the resort trying to see the fireworks that were not staying there. And you couldn't get anywhere. You had to get to the sea of people, and you want to go in the lobby, and there's just a mountain of people in there, and you can't get a mobile order from Captain Cook's for 2 hours out or whatever because it's being so clogged up. So, and I saw somebody say earlier, well, you're paying for your room, you're not paying for the resort. I'm kind of paying for both. I want to be able to take advantage of, the common areas and not have to wait 2 to 3 hours to get Captain Cook's or to get into Trader Sam's. So I kind of see where some people are coming from, and I see both sides because resort hopping is fun. It is fun to go see all the different resorts and say, oh, maybe one time I want to go stay there, or I just want to shoot over to the Grand Floridian and get quick service and just walk around and listen to the piano player. But at a point, when does that become just too much, where the crowds are just becoming so heavy at these resorts that resort guests can't enjoy them anymore. And in a weird way, like, and I was saying this earlier, that Disney's saying, you know what, we're going to put the kibosh on that, and only resort guests are allowed to enjoy these resorts. Like, they've got to be losing money by doing that, right? Because locals aren't going anymore, or, you know, people who are staying in a value resort aren't going anymore to spend their money at a bar or a quick service or the gingerbread house or whatever kind of things that are going on. Like, they might be taking a loss knowing that it's that big of an issue, right? I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see what you're coming from. I mean, these people that are staying in these hotels are spending, you know, $1,000 a night, you know, say Pauling, say grand. And I mean, I could see the enforcement really being on these 3 hotels, but maybe not the other ones as much. You know, I don't know how clogged up, you know, obviously the boardwalk and beach club lobbies aren't as extravagant as these other ones.
No.
But just, you know, I know the monorail bar hop is a big thing, but I don't know how much of this is people coming from Disney Springs that are taking the buses, or how many people are actually parking at TTC and monorailing over, you know?
Right.
And I think a lot of it is, you know, APs that do get the free parking that are doing that, you know, like, so I don't really know, but I understand what you're coming from. And I think that it should be enforced. I mean, kind of, in my opinion, you know, the Disney Springs bus rule, you know, I don't think there's a problem with the Tuesday at noon if somebody hops on the bus.
Yeah.
But I think on the weekends, it should definitely be enforced. But I think those 3 hotels are going to be the main ones. But I think the main thing is just the parking situation. Like, if I'm staying at the, you know, say Beach Club, I want to go have dinner at, you know, Caribbean Beach, I should be able to park my car at Caribbean Beach and have dinner. And that is not allowed. You know, you have to be at whatever resort you're at. And I don't necessarily, like, I understand, you know, the contemporary, because people just park and go to Magic Kingdom. I totally get that. But I don't see a problem with, I want to have dinner at Animal Kingdom Lodge, why I can't drive my car over there. There's plenty of parking all the time at some of these hotels. You know, like Beach Club and Yacht Club, their parking lots are very small, but there's always tons of parking at Boardwalk. There's always, you know, I love the cake bake shop, and whenever I want to just get a cake, it's like a cake, I have to park at Hollywood Studios. So usually after Fantasmic, I'll walk over there and walk back, but it's a mile each way. That's a lot of walking for a hunk of cake, you know? So that's kind of the only thing I do. But I mean, if I want to go see Wilderness Lodge, I got to park, take the monorail, then take the boat. It's a hassle. And, you know, if I want to go to Geyser Point, you know, just, you don't take reservations, you know, and, but like I said, I understand it to an extent, but I'm just curious, you know, if this is kind of just their beginning of it with the buses, and then they're going to kind of see how it goes for furthering. But I think for some of these, you know, like July 4th, for instance, I think, you know, they could definitely say, you know, you're not staying here, you're not allowed here type of thing. But, you know, in the middle of a week or something, I don't see the problem. But, you know, I totally get it when you're paying a lot of money to stay there. But there's got to be more to the story than just people being angry, you know, in my opinion, because the probably sells out every night, and it's going to sell out every night forever. So there's got to be more to it than just people complaining. I don't know what it is, and we don't know, but.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I do think too, and I'll catch some crap for this, and I've said it on social media too, that I think the influencer phases that we've been in lately too, where it's like all these hacks, like you got to go see this, you got to go to this hotel to get that treat, and then you got to go to this one. I think that's a little bit to do with it too. Like, I mean, I've been going only since 2008, but in between those years, I've never seen the resort lobbies as crazy as they are now. Like, I can go back to memories of 08, 09, 2015, and they were never like they are now. I mean, they are just absolutely slammed. It's because people saw on TikTok, you got to go to this resort and get this snack or something like that.
Yeah, or go do the monorail bar crawl,
bar
or
crawl,
whatever they call it. You know, I don't know. I don't do these things, but but if people are very into that, and you know, I mean, they're going to say, well, I'm spending $200. Well, yeah, you probably are, but like you said, now it's just packed with people all the time, and if people actually are staying at the Grand, can't go to Enchanted Rose because it's full of people that aren't staying there. You know, I understand both sides of the story, and there's people that do rest days, and they're staying at the French Quarter, and they want to go to different resorts, you know, on their rest day. And Disney's always been advertised that there's more to do than just the parks, you know. So I understand that perspective of we want to go around and pin trade. You know, I get it. I get it. It's just like you said, that fine line between, you know, how can they do it? And I don't know if the gingerbread house is an attempt at this, or it's not, or there's nothing to do with it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what the other offerings are that are announced, because we only know as of right now that there's no gingerbread house at the Grand Floridian, but I'm assuming everything's still coming. Like, I love the carousel over at the Beach Club. And we stay at the Beach Club every year for New Year's Eve, and I always love seeing it and see what the theme's going to be. And I love the one that they have at the Boardwalk, and the one at Animal Kingdom has become so cool, and that's only been around for a few years. So as of right now, we haven't heard any of those are going away. So I'm hoping this is just a Grand Floridian thing for
I think
now.
so. I think it's
Yeah.
just I think it's just basically their excuse is going to be the lobby, with the bar. But yeah, the
Yeah.
contemporary one's another one that I really enjoy too with the cast.
That's a good one too. Yeah, yeah. Well, we're gonna stick with Christmas here for a second before I let you go. I know you're a big Jollywood Nights fan, and the dates for that were announced November 7th through January 5th. Tickets go on sale July 9th for resort guests, and then the 16th for the general public. And I saw you post about this yesterday. You're a big advocate for this party. I went for the first year, and I went to the first party in the first year, and it was a cluster. Like, it was awful. I felt
Wasn't
like
the weather awful too?
What's that?
Wasn't the weather awful as well?
Yeah, I think it was bad now that I think about it. Yeah, so all in all, it just wasn't a great night. I love the Muppet Show that was in the Hollywood Hills Theater there or whatever. That was great, but yeah, just you didn't have a lot of time. There just wasn't a lot to do. And then, of course, as the party went along that year, they added more and more as I go figure. I was at one, there wasn't a whole lot going on, but you seem to love it. But you did make a point, no new offerings this year, right? Like, it's the same deal as last year.
Yeah, it is, and that was something that I really enjoyed was the constant plussing. There weren't a lot of new things last year, but they really made a super nice pamphlet when they handed you out. It was the best pamphlet I've ever seen. It had every food, it had every character, it had everything listed so nicely. It had
cool.
a bunch of new characters. They had the really, really nice dance party in front of Rockin', with the three caballeros. They had a lot of, I felt like, new things. I mean, they could always add things later. That's what people were commenting on my post, and they're not wrong. But I don't want them to get, comfortable with kind of how they do with the Halloween and the Christmas. Like, we don't really need to add anything because people are going to go anyways. And that's how it was going to be. But I would also like to see some little enhanced things. I think a bigger ice rink would be really nice for the Glisten show. It's a very, very small rink. They're not allowed to kind of do a lot of tricks and stuff because it's such a small rink.
Sure.
But yeah, the Muppet Show and the Jack Show, like, I'll watch all four Muppets. Usually I'll watch two of the Nightmare shows. Those are my favorite. I will do that. That's usually what I do the whole party. Cool. I mean, I can do the rides whenever I want, so I watch all the shows. But yeah, I really enjoyed the event. I think it feels more like a party than the Mickey's one, just because there's less people and there's a lot more dance parties. There's a lot more ambiance things. But I will always prefer the Mickey party just because that castle show is my favorite show ever. Yes. Like, I love that show. But Jollywood has turned into a very nice event, and I really hope all they need to do is add a couple characters or add a couple things, and just kind of keep it fresh. But I know there are a lot of people that have never been to it before, so I know that they're still kind of trying to get new people to go to the event, but it'd be nice to just see a couple things here and there. I don't necessarily expect the Mickey ones, like Halloween or Christmas, to be modified, but it would be nice to see a couple new offerings, at Jollywood. I did notice they took Coco off of Miguel off of the meet and greet list, but last year, every time I saw him, he never even had anybody. Nobody really even knew who he was. Like, he was in a very, very bad spot, by kind of like Rosie's and Catalina Eddie's kind of like over there, like nobody really knew he was there. I saw he was removed off the list, but I would like them to add, another character or two, I don't know. It'd be really easy for them to do, especially seeing like who they have for like these Run Disneys, add Oogie Boogie or add, somebody else,
Yeah, my only hang up too, and again, it looks much better than the party that I got to go to. I don't love Mickey and Minnie's outfits. Like, I don't really understand it. It's a little weird for me. I'd rather see them in something more traditional Christmas. But yeah, other than that, it does look great. How many do you think you're going to go to this year?
I'll probably try to go to most of them aside from the Saturdays. The Saturdays were very busy last year. I usually did 2 Mickeys and 1 Jollywood a week was typically my schedule last year.
Wow.
But a lot of it was because Rockin' was closing, so I was trying to, I could ride it probably about 6 to 8 times a party. This year I know it's going to be slammed because it's Muppets and it's new. So I probably won't really ride it during the event this year. But yeah, I was really hoping for an overlay on that attraction. Even if they just change a song, they don't have to do anything, but just have a Christmas song with Muppets singing. I think that would be really fun. I know some people are talking about that on here, and that would be really cool.
That'd be awesome.
Even Toy Story Mania kind of did it with the 70th at Disneyland would have been really fun with some Christmas overlay. I feel like something like that would have been really easy to do. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll kind of see how tickets sell. I know that's kind of what they did with the first year when people saw what happened year 9 and went, oh shoot, I don't know, let's do the Christmas one, the Mickey one instead. And now they kind of had to add things, so maybe that's what they'll do. I don't know. But last year, kind of just the Saturday sold out, but not the weekdays. So we'll see kind of if the same trend is. But I am happy they added January dates, and like somebody did point out, it's very close to the marathon, so that's a big selling point for some people coming for the marathon to be able to do a night. That's really great.
That's a good point. Very cool. All right. Well, I'm going to be looking forward to your coverage of those. And this was so much fun. Thank you for sitting down. I cannot believe it's been like an hour and 17 minutes we've been going on with this, but you're
Yeah, it's
super
been
fun to
great.
talk parks with. It's been great following your page. I think everybody should give you a follow if they aren't already. You always have some really cool content in the parks, like not just the maintenance report stuff, but you're always showing like cool merchandise and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really, really fun follow. And what's your Twitter handle again? Tell the people.
Yeah, Coaster K24.
Okay, well, so make sure you give her a follow, and you're at MK, so I'm going to let you go enjoy the park. What are you going to get into the rest of the night?
Probably definitely gonna do Carousel Progress. This is gonna be my last time doing it before the final day. I will be here on the final day with a lot of other
Okay.
people on here. That's gonna be very, very
Cool.
fun. Of course, we always have to meet for sad occasions like ride closings, but it is fun to have fun together. Yeah, probably just try to walk around, maybe go on some of the attractions on the west side too. Starlight will be starting kind of soon, so I always like to go on rides during that, so that's always nice. And of course, for you, a night people mover ride too.
Oh, I love it. That's my favorite thing in the world, just riding the People Mover at night. It doesn't get any better than that. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun, and we'll have to have you on again in the future to talk more maintenance and all that kind of fun stuff. This has been great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was so fun. Thank you.
Awesome. Enjoy MK.
I will.